Once again, this is George Boston Rhines. Just been informed by John H. Robinson that the Lowndes County School Board Superintendent had just called him from his meeting with the superintendent this morning. And the Honorable Lowndes County Superintendent of Schools said to him that he did not issue any criminal trespass warrant against George Boston Rhines, and that the superintendent suggested that Mr. Robinson go to the sheriff's department and find out who issued such an order to ban me from the Lowndes County school grounds. Moreover, Mr. Robinson asked for an appointment with Mr. West Taylor. And I think they got one set up for some time in the future. But I want the entire world to know that according to what Mr. Robinson said about Mr. West Taylor, he used the term that there's something in place. Dig it now. Something in place for Brother Rhines, for George Boston Rhines. He said he didn't issue no restrictions on me, but yet I have it on tape. You have seen it. Bobby Worthy of the Justice League are aware of it. Witnesses that was protesting in front of Lowndes County High School witnessed a deputy sheriff ordering me to turn my vehicle around because there was a criminal trespass order to order me from the property. Moreover, this deputy, beyond question, was not acting of himself, but he was acting on behalf of someone in great authority than him. And when he got word over the radio, I recorded it, and I have it for you, because Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Now, I heard Robinson tell me with my own ears that Lowndes County School Superintendent Taylor said I didn't issue or call for a trespass to be issued on Rhines. But I think the sheriff department got something in the works. In other words, apparently they are working on something to deal with the truth revealer and not the truth suppressor. Now, to the Justice Department of the United States of America, if something should happen to me, I blame you, Justice Department, because you have been knowing what's been going on in Valdosta, Georgia for over 20 years. And nothing has been done to my knowledge. And our children continues to fill the jails in Lowndes County. Make no mistake about it. I said it earlier. God used Pharaoh to bring about his divine plan. God used dry bones in the valley to bring about his divine plan. God used King Herod, Cephas, and Pilate to bring about his divine plan for his people. God used Lester Maddox. God used Hitler. God used those men and women of the wicked ilk. But in the end, truth and right will always win. Whatever your plan is about George Boston Ryan, make no mistake about it, there are people that are prepared to act once you act. And that is a promise to you. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. We got to understand where the people leave off and God takes over. Now, you know, here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, you have never seen anything like this before. But you got to understand where man leaves off and God takes over. You play with God, but the God of my salvation say, stand fast therefore in the liberty wherein I have set you free. Stand fast therefore in the liberty wherein I have set you free. And be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Somewhere I read, we fight not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities of power and spiritual wickedness in high places. Now your preacher don't preach like this, because they did not get the message that I got when I was 15 years old. And what you see now is the fulfillment of divine revelation. And I'm here to tell you that the half haven't been told. Look, as I close this out, don't you all remember when I stood before Valdosta City Council on behalf of a white woman, wherein all her teeth were knocked out, wherein they sent her from the jail to South Georgia Medical Center? Her mother, a white lady, called me, not the elected officials, but they called me and asked me, George, where is my daughter? They say she's not in the jail. So I told her to check the hospitals in the surrounding areas. Come to find out, she was in ICU. The South Georgia Medical Center had been there for about 5 days. Mother didn't know where she was. She was on a $3,500 bond. But when they released her to the hospital, and when the hospital released her, she didn't even have to pay the fine. Valdosta in Lowndes County operates by their own set of laws. And now you're wondering what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. In the northeast corner of Kemet, in Africa, the black man stepped out of the corner, starting off on his left foot. And he civilized the world, the arts, the sciences, mathematics. He gave that to the world. But they hid that from you. They hid that from me. So we were hit in the head in the East in Africa. We were brought a westerly course to the Western world in North America. We were buried in a shallow grave. After our loved ones marched around our grave for 3 days. And They ask a question. Is there no help for the widow's son? Is there no help for the black man? And so God, out of his great love, he sent John Brown, a white man. He sent other great men, black, white, and others, who knew that oppressing God people was wrong. So he sent others. He sent Malcolm X. He sent Master Farad Muhammad, a white man, to teach Elijah Muhammad about creating businesses so the black man would have somewhere to work. Then he sent Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, Frederick Douglass, and many, many others, trying to resurrect that dead man buried in that shallow grave. Nobody could resurrect that black man from the grave. He was considered 3/5 of a human being. But by God's superiority, by his wise, his wisdom, and his superior counseling, he showed the world. The Muslims tried to resurrect that black man, but when they reached down to grab him, the flesh cleaved from the bone. They couldn't get him up. Martin Luther King reached down in the grave, tried to resurrect that black man. Couldn't get him up. So they walked again around the grave. They say, "Oh Lord, my God, is there no help for God's darker colored son?" And so the struggle continues. They remove some of the dust off of the black man's grave, but for the most part, he's still in the grave. And because he have not been resurrected to stand up on the real square of God's word, he cannot enjoy the rights of free passage. And so he's restricted from going to the Lowndes County High School 2013 graduation ceremony. He is forbidden to go to the Board of Education meeting that took place at 7:30 as was publicized. Could have been a meeting that never took place. But one day, when God gets through doing his thing, not only will the black man rise from the dead level, white people, Japanese, Germans, everybody will be resurrected, because this game of life is not over yet. There are going to be men and women. They're going to have dreams and visions at night, like I had at 15. What I'm going through right now is only a small bit of what I've already lived. In the United States Armed Forces, that's another story to tell and must be told. I fought this fight in the military. I fought this fight in the business world when I had a business for 14 years. This is nothing new for me. But I've learned to wait on the salvation of God. And so I want to thank Mr. Wes Taylor, and I want to thank the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department for allowing God to use you to fulfill his divine purpose. And I assure you that it's going to be fulfilled. The only thing is the outcome. It's the outcome. It's not about me. It's not about me. If you're focusing on me, you're focusing on the wrong piece of flesh and blood. I am not your problem. Satan is your problem. Wickedness is your problem. If God is on my side, if righteousness is on my side, if truth lives within me, and it does, what can you do to truth? Jesus showed us what happens when truth goes to the cross, when truth is buried into a tomb. Jesus showed you what happens when King died. Truth showed you that God got others that are going to come back, and even the third and the fourth generation of those who work against God and work against those that God sent to help build a better America. And if we fail to hear the warning, then we are calling and ordaining the destruction of this nation. It's not about me. Don't focus on me. You do yourself well. You do your children well. You do your community well by looking at the same one that Jesus allowed to carry him up to the pinnacle of the temple. See, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto God but by me. And wherever there's truth in the house, y'all, you cannot fight against truth. For truth is what truth does. And God have decreed that heaven and earth would pass away, but my word will stand forever. So it is written, so shall it be done. I'm going to say this to you. It might be a little while now before I cut another video, regardless of what happened concerning this so-called, they are working some on Brother Ryan. In other words, they say they're working on me. I want you to see, and I want you to notice how God gonna move. No, listen. This is nothing new for me. I have seen God work against everyone that came out after the righteous. It's just that simple. So you got to understand where man leaves off and where God takes over. Once again, I'm just a little brother. I've been doing this since 1975. And I ain't no ways tired yet. I want to say to all of my faithful listeners, I was on radio for many years. And if you know, they tried to buy me. But I'm a man that can't be bought. You know, it's strange that a person like myself, very few people in even the civil rights movement will say, Brother Ryan, we appreciate the work you're doing. They don't do that. And I'm glad they don't do that. Because I know what it's like to walk down the road of Jericho. I know what it's like to walk into the valley of dry bones. I know what it's like to go to a pool of a man that have been laying in a shallow grave for thousands of years. I know what it's like to go down to the pools of Shalom. I know what it's like when David said, my own familiar friend who ate from my table and supped with me and dined with me have lifted up his heels against me. So I understand that through my suffering, through my pain, through the threats on my life, I understand it, and I'm still smiling, and there is no hate in me. Because inside of this temple, inside of this lodge is the Holy of Holies. And you know it. You know it. And you know that I must walk alone. And Martin Luther King, I'm gonna close on this. If you read between the lines, as my third grade grandmother told me, she said, June, always read between the lines. Dr. King left a message. Many of you overlooked it, but God revealed the revelation to me. And Dr. King said in his messages, Ralph Abernathy is the best friend that I have in the world. And after he died, who came up against him? You see, God's servants are not ignorant. God first perfect the heart, but he know it all lies in the brain. Dr. King knew he didn't have no friends, and he gave us a warning to the righteous that come behind him to let us know that Jesus didn't go to the cross with a gang of people with him. Jesus went to the cross of Calvary alone. And when he rose from the dead, he rose alone. And when he ascended back to the Father, he went back alone. And he said he coming back. And when he come back, that's another story for another day. Bye-bye. We gone.